In our last video, we talked about Spring AI in brief. We also set up OpenAI API key and established the connection with OpenAI. In this video, we are going to look into the prompt and prompt template. We are also going to talk about how prompts really work, how to structure them properly, and how to avoid common mistakes related to the prompt. Welcome everyone to our YouTube channel, The Code Karma. So what exactly is a prompt? Most developers think prompts are random text or a string. But in reality, it is a set of instructions that tells the AI who it is, what it should do, and how it should respond. In short, prompts are an effective way of communicating with LLMs. In Spring AI, we usually think prompt in three parts. First is system prompt. This defines the role of the AI. Second is user prompt. This is the actual input from the user. And the third is instruction or constraints. These three together forms a strong prompt. Now let's talk about prompt template. Prompt template provides a mechanism for creating dynamic and reusable prompts. It helps in creating a structured prompt by defining placeholders. Think of it like a string format but for AI prompts. So instead of hard coding text, we create a reusable template. We define placeholder and later inject values dynamically. This keeps our prompt clean, reusable, and maintainable. Let's jump in and start building the code. I'm heading over to start.spring.io to create a new Spring Boot project. For the build tool, I will select Maven, and for the language, I will choose Java. Next, I'm going to use Spring Boot 3.5.9. I'm intentionally not choosing 4.0.1 because at the time of recording, Spring AI does not support Spring Boot 4. Moving on to project metadata, I am going to change the group ID as dev.codekarma and the artifact ID I am going to call it prompt service app. I will leave all the remaining settings at their default values. Now in terms of dependencies, I am going to add Spring Web because we are going to create REST APIs. The other dependency I need is OpenAI. So I'm going to go ahead and select OpenAI. That's all we need to get started. I will click on generate, download the project and open it in IntelliJ IDE. I have opened our project in IntelliJ IDE. Now to communicate with OpenAI, we need a chat client interface. So I am going to create a new package and call it config. Within this package, I am going to create a new Java class and I will call it chat client config. And since this is a configuration class, I am going to annotate it with the configuration. Inside this class, we will define a Spring Bean for chat client. Spring AI provides a chat client builder which we will be using to construct the client. All we need to do is call the build method and we get a ready to use chat client instead. Now let's create our REST controller, and for that I am going to create a new package and I will call it controller. And inside this package I am going to add a Java class called prompt controller. So let me go ahead and annotate this class as REST controller. And as we discussed, the dependency that we need is chat client, which we already created. And what I can do, I can add this as the constructor parameter. If you remember from the previous video, we created a get endpoint at askMe. This endpoint accepted a query param called message and returned the response from the chat client as plain string. So this is the method I am talking about. So far, we have been calling the prompt method by passing a simple string, but that's not the only option available to us. So let's take a closer look at prompt class. This prompt class provides multiple constructors. It can take a string as the argument. It can also take message as the argument, or you can pass list of messages. If we go ahead and take a look at this message, so this message interface represents a message that can be sent or received in a chat-based application. A message can contain media, attachment, or additional properties. Spring AI defines 4 types of messages. It can be of type user, assistant, system, or tools. Since we have 4 messages type, Spring AI provides 4 corresponding implementation of the message interface. So if you take a look, you have assistant message, system message, tool response message, and user message. At the core of this implementation, we also have abstract message class, and this is providing the common functionality for all these other classes. Understanding this message hierarchy will become important as we start building more advanced prompts and conversations. With this context in mind, let's jump back to the code and update our controller to use prompt and messages. As I said, instead of passing this message, I could have created a new prompt with this message, and then I could have passed this message, and this would have worked exactly the same. So let me try to run this and we will see if this is still working good. So our application has started successfully. I'm quickly going to move to Postman to test this out. I'm going to pass the message, who is the GOAT of football, and I will click on send. Okay, so after some thinking, I got the response that the title of GOAT in football is often obtained and vary based on personal opinion criteria. But it says that Lionel Messi is considered as GOAT. Now going back to prompt class one more time, what I see that I can also pass the message, and that should also work in the same manner. So what I will do, I'm just going to copy this method and I will just rename, let's say, ask me by user message, and I will say by user message, and rest everything I'm going to leave as it is. But instead of creating the prompt with this message, I'm going to create a new user message. I will pass this message as the parameter, and let's extract it to a variable. Okay, so instead of passing this message, I can also pass this user message, and our chat client will work exactly the same. Similarly, I can also create a system message and call the LLM. This is the example where I have called the LLM using the system message, and it is going to behave exactly the same. Let me run this application. I will once again move to Postman and will test these 2 APIs. So instead of ask me, I can call ask me by user message. I got the similar message. You see how you designed the prompt can change your response in great detail. Now I'm going to test the other APIs which we created with system message. So let me send one more time. This time we got response in a different format. The point is you can change the prompt and your output will vary. Therefore, we need to design prompts very carefully. Up until now, we have been sending static prompts to the model, which is a hard-coded string or user message or system message. But in real-world application, prompts are usually dynamic. That is where prompt templates comes into the picture. A prompt template allows us to define a prompt with the placeholder, and then we can fill these placeholders with the runtime value. Now I'm going to create one more controller. I will call it prompt template controller, and we can annotate it with REST controller. We need the chat client dependency, so I'm going to inject the chat client dependency. So what I want to do in this example, I want to list 10 most played YouTube song of an artist. So let's create a get mapping, and I will create this get mapping at the path YouTube. We are going to return a string. So this find popular song by artist is going to take a param, and it will be the artist name. I'm going to create a string, list 10 of the most played YouTube songs along with their genre. for the artist. If you don't know the answer, just say I don't know. Now I can create a new prompt template with this message, and I'm going to extract in a variable. Now my prompt template is created. I want to replace this placeholder with the value that is coming in the request param. So I'm going to use this create method, and then I can supply a map with the artist that is coming in the request param, and it will be able to replace this placeholder. And now I can use the chat client to call the prompt. So let's rerun our application, and we can pass the artist name, and we will see what exactly is the output. Our application has started. I'm going to move to Postman, and this time I will call the YouTube, but I want to change the name of the artist. So I tried to call this endpoint with the artist name Arijit Singh, and I got the 10 of the most played song by Arijit Singh along with their genre. So this is good. But you remember I said that it's never a good idea to have your prompts within your controller or within your service layer. So in practice, we always need to version our prompts. So I'm going to create a new directory, and I will call it prompts. So let's move this prompt within our prompt directory. I'm going to create a new file, and I'm going to copy the prompt here. Since I have moved my template, I'm going to read it via resource. So I have created YouTube prompt template resource, and I'm loading the data from the prompts and YouTube songs.st file. So now let's copy this method, and instead of passing this message, we can simply pass this YouTube prompt resource. I need to rename this method. I will also change this get mapping to YouTube search, and rest everything can remain same. So I will restart the application one more time, and then we are going to test this endpoint. Our application has started, so I am going to call this endpoint, and we have the data. Instead of this, you could also have created user message or system message, but our implementation would have been same. Now let us talk about some of the best practices regarding prompts. Avoid ambiguity and always be explicit, because if we change the prompt, our output is also changing. The next is define the output format, like give me output in the bullet points, and this will make the prompt more clear and explicit. You can also go ahead and set the constraints, like limit the word count. So give me the answer only in 500 words, and LLM is going to take care of it. Now let's talk about some common pitfalls. Never treat prompts like chat messages. Do not hard code the prompts everywhere in the code, like in your controller or in your service layer. Prompt should be versioned, it should be reviewed and improved over time. So it's better to keep them under resources in .st file, and then you can improve it over time. So to conclude, prompts can replace code. Things like summarization, classification, validation rules, and recommendations can be prompt driven, which means less code and more intent. And this is where Spring AI shines for Java developers. If this video helped you, like it and subscribe it to the channel The Code Karma. And in the next video, we will talk about structured output. Till then, happy coding.